Hi, I'm Phil Naylor, psychotherapist, and welcome to my channel, Human Nature. Today, I just wanted to talk about the whole idea, and part of what my channel is about is encouraging people to kind of uh, involve themselves in the world, not in terms of here's another task for you to do, but to empower people to feel that they, have agency and that their contribution is needed and welcome, and to encourage you to contribute to in a positive way to our world, in a way that is good for you and appropriate for you. So right now there's so many things. I'm just going to talk about that today, about some ideas for doing that, and to feel that it's an easy fit for you to be able to do whatever it is that you want to do in the world. But right now there's so many things going on in the world, big things, all the world problems and everything that we have, and things that people are worried about, and also all the things, individual things in our world. Sometimes our personal world is full of things that are keeping us, overwhelmed. So between what's going on in the world and what's going on in our personal life, we can sometimes feel overwhelmed and helpless and powerless. And that's just the way it is sometimes. And sometimes it feels like I can't do anything, and all I want to do is kind of hide and bury myself and not do anything. And sometimes that is okay. Sometimes you just need to do that. Sometimes you just need to focus on the thing that's right in front of you, and don't worry about everything else that's going on. Be okay with that. You don't want to get stuck in that place for too long, because then that's not a way you want to live either. So but sometimes you'll emerge from that and you'll feel like, geez, what can I do? I want to do something, but everything's so big and I don't know where to start, and I don't make any difference anyway. And who am I? There's a couple of things that you can do. Like, first of all, start where you're at, right? Don't try and take on, I got to be the savior of the world and do all these things and get involved in all these missions and advocacy things or whatever. But I mean, if you're moved to, one way is to join a group where other people are doing stuff that you're interested in, and go join them. I'd recommend probably not just like an online discussion group where you're hashing about a topic, although that's an okay starting place if you don't know where to start or just want to talk about something. You're best to try and join something that's kind of live and in your community if possible, where you can kind of actually meet with people and talk. And so that way, or it can be an online thing too, but preferably something that's involved in actually moving something forward rather than just kind of hashing on about an issue. But if you're not inclined for that or ready for that, or you can't find something that is aligned with who you are and what you want to do, then again, start with where you're at. Start with, and I'm going to suggest just bringing a new kind of consciousness into what you already are doing, or adding something onto that a little bit. So what I mean by that, so start with whatever your job or activity is, and start to go about it by bringing an enhanced sense of awareness into it, an awareness that whatever you're doing is actually making a contribution. You're adding to the world. It doesn't matter what you're doing, but if you start to kind of look at yourself as, when you're doing what you're doing, or another thing is that's important work is caregiving work, whether you're caregiving children or somebody with a disability or an elderly person, and, you're involved with a lot with that. Try and bring an awareness to not only are you making a difference to the individual that you're working with, that if you're serving somebody, that you're making a difference to their day, and how you're interacting with them is making a difference. So, and when the thing that you're doing is making a difference, if you're fixing somebody's car, that's making a big difference to somebody because they need their car, right? And so know that you're doing that, but also add to it a little bit of consciousness about that you are also part of a larger force of serving in the world. So you're joined with other people that are doing other similar work that is collectively adding to the world. So if you're a nurse or a doctor or a therapist of some sort, then think that you are part of a healing force in the world. Not only are you engaged in that and helping the individual, but you're part of a larger contribution in the world. This is an active force that's alive in the world. And if you start to say, I'm part of that larger force, that I'm doing something in a larger degree in the world. If you're serving somebody, you're part of a serving force, you're serving others in the world. And it's that aliveness of that energy in the world that you're part of. And so just by becoming conscious of that, changing your consciousness a little bit, and you don't have to do it all day long or anything, but periodically just become very aware of what you're doing in the moment. Be aware of who you're helping or assisting right then. And then just be aware of it as a little bit higher level, that you're part of a whole force of people living, working in a serving or helping or healing capacity or whatever it is. Or if you're an artist and you're creating art, think of it as you're creating this for the world. You're putting something into the world. You're adding something into the world that didn't exist before. These are just kind of a mental strategy of enhancing what you're doing. The other thing that you can do is do an add-on to what you're doing, enhancing what you're doing a little bit more. The easiest way to do that is just to be nice, to go out of your way to be smile, okay, and say something kind to somebody, or just to bring positive energy into that person that you're dealing with on some level. And if you've ever had that happen to you, that somebody's really just positive and good and looks you in the eye and feels like they're talking just to you, kind of makes a difference to you, right? And so if you kind of do that and again, you may not be able to do Mr. Smiley or Mrs. Smiley or whatever all day long, but to make a point of doing that, to make a point of just going that extra mile, kind of doing the little extra thing for some people, sometimes at least, and you've all kind of done, maybe you've heard of the pay it forward thing, in the line for the fast food or something, and Tim Hortons or whatever, and somebody pays for you who's ahead of you. I paid for that, or you do it yourself, pay for something, pay for that person's coffee or something, and just feel that good, that random act of kindness is kind of thing, or just do something. If you're inclined to pet a dog, pet that dog or cat, or feed the birds, say a kind word to a kid or an elderly person or something like that. So there's ways that you can just kind of enhance. If you go about it consciously, you can start to actually see that it makes a difference to these people, and that what you do makes a difference to an individual. And if you think of yourself as joining with other people with a similar energy, so it's all about increasing your consciousness and intent. So just go about just enhancing a little bit what you're doing with your intent, and you're become very aware and conscious what you're doing. Do it deliberately. What you're doing is you're deliberately sending that energy and that idea into the world. And that way you start to feel a sense of creating yourself, a sense of efficacy, and meaning, that you're effective, that it's a difference. You can see it reflected back, and you feel it, and you feel good too. And you start to feel, I'm not just helpless and powerless, I can do my bit. So we can't change the world, but sometimes we can affect somebody else's world that's in front of us. And sometimes we're part of a collective effort that, if more of that is done, affects the world. And so you can kind of change the world in your own way. So the best thing to do is to be you, to be who you are, and just do it as consciously and as effectively and with intent, to positive intent, as possible. So think that you're important, and whatever work that you're doing is important, and just enhance that with your consciousness. And then you may find that just develops some momentum, and the world does change a little bit better, the world for other people and for yourself, that you find that you yourself, by doing that, end up feeling better in your world. Okay, so that's that's my thought for today, and I hope that's helpful for you. So thanks for joining me.